And a lot of people are like, what is nuke mode for? And I'm about to show you. So what we have here is we have a bus from a complete drum kit being bussed into mono because I only got one distressor right now. And it's being bussed over here, and then we're going to crush it. So let me move the distressor over and push the crush button. So now the distressor's off my voice, by the way. Isn't that insane? See, Empirical Labs should pay me just for that. That's insane. Like, it's like I'm really tiny now. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with the drum bus, and then I'm gonna go through all these samples. I got a kick, I got a snare, I got snaps, I got tambourines, I got guitars, pianos, all kinds of good stuff. So let's get the crush going on the parallel real quick. I gotta zoom in. All right, so we're gonna start with the parallel compression. I want you to hear what it's doing to the signal when I said parallel compression. You can't really hear it when you first play it, but if I just solo it, so watch. And we'll run it to let me see here. Just bus 21 by itself. So that's nuke mode, and that's what I really want to do here. So this is nuke mode. It's really hammered, man. So let's go back to the parallel compression and see how big it is. Check it out. So I took away the parallel. See how dull it is? It just sounds dull. Then I add the parallel back. And we obviously I can set the attack and release different. So let's do that, and then we'll get into the rest of the samples. The goal in mixing, and I want to be informative here, the goal in mixing is to create depth. And create the correct depth. So if you have a rapper, that was almost like a Busta Rhyme kind of drum beat that I feel Busta Rhyme could be really good on. So when you hear his voice, he has a certain attack and release to his voice. So the goal of a great engineer is to take the attack and release and to complement it with that given instrument. A lot of hip hop artists and a lot of rock guys and things, they don't feel like you have to do that. Now rock guys, on the other hand, they're playing with tones and instrumentation and things like that, where hip hop guys aren't. And sometimes the greatest producers figure that out, and then they use that to complement the vocalist. So if we added a vocal, let's say we got a elongated rapper, I mean, I would do this. Like a guy that's like, yo, I'm in the booth, like Chip the Ripper, or like a Gucci Man. You would have drums more like this. Because you can hear the bottom. It's more like a laid back. Now if you have a Busta Rhyme, it'd be more like this. So what I'm saying is you just heard the same drum beat for two different rappers. So as a artist at home, you have to start paying attention to that, and that's what we do this channel for. That is mixing. That is finding the right sound for that artist. So we went from just turning the attack time a little to the right and less release for a more punchy Busta Rhyme kind of rap, and then we went all the way to the right, more opto for a Gucci Man. So when a guy asked me what kind of preamp would sound good on my voice, well, if you're more of a Gucci Man kind of rapper, you're going to find that a 1176 style compression will sound good on you. Where if you're more of a Jay-Z style rapper, an SSL might sound better on you. So it's like, every piece of equipment has its place at home. So, I'm very glad I did this video because I think it clarified a lot for a lot of people on that one. And that's why the Distressor is so popular, because it can do both. It can do a more toned sound like an LA2A, in your face kind of lethargic kind of deal, and it can do a powerful punchy, and every compressor can obviously do something similar with different attacks and release. Now if you look at like the Manly above this in the video, it doesn't have that capability. It is a make your music loud box, and it's warm, fat, big, and that's why it's in most mastering studios. It doesn't take away from the attack and release that you've already set in your mix. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't set they don't set this stuff in their mix, and they go, man, my mix is really muffled. And that's why, a great mastering engineer is only as good as the mix. So when we get a lot of stuff every year, we say, dude, revisit the mix. This isn't like a punch in your gut. I'm saying it because you can become better at it. And if we can get every element to jive like that, jive, when did that word become popular again? But when you can get everything to blend together and mend together, that's when you get, great solid recordings. So let's go on to the samples. I apologize for going on my tangent, but it's just what I do in my videos. So let's get into some samples. Try to engineer the tail of this, like try to get the tail to sound longer. So once again, I utilize the compressor to add a sense of it being longer than it is. Now I didn't stretch the sample; it just sounds longer because it's amplifying from the way I set the attack and release. It's amplifying the end of that sound. That could be great for a rapper or a singer, an artist that is a little offbeat. You can adjust time in milliseconds with a compressor. So that's what that example was about. So let's go on to a kick drum. All right, so in that example, if you want to rewind your speakers. You can't rewind your speakers, Doug. If you want to rewind the video, what I wanted to do was tighten it with an opto, and that is one of those things to make things fit. If you notice this particular sample, Okay, if you notice this particular sample, it's really huge and it's taken up a lot of space between the speakers. The goal in mixing is to take things and actually, in a sense, make them smaller. So what we're doing is just tightening up this sample, so all that information, the frequency response of that kick is all right there in your face. Now let's say we want to make it more of a pop record, so we're gonna adjust the attack, maybe shorten the release, and make it punchier. Now in that case, we are sacrificing some of the headroom that we could get. So I'll show you real quick. Classic hip hop, classic hip hop. Classic hip hop, Doug. No, but that's more pop, punchy, poppy, Katy Perry-ish. So yeah, you got a real quick. You have a longer attack, shorter release. It creates a more powerful kick drum. The other thing that I was doing is I was adding the distortion to it. It's a harmonic style generator that comes on the Distressor to make it replicate classic pieces of gear. So off the top of my head, I really don't know which ones, but I know it's 1176 LA2A. There's certain the British mod that they have on these things, but I'm really concentrating on just how to get the sound out of certain elements. So we're gonna go into a guitar, and let's get this guitar to really sound set in the mix. And this is what the in my mind the Distressor does so well. It sets things in the mix, and that's why they call it the Swiss Army knife. So we're gonna go to opto mode. We're gonna put it on this, and then we're gonna adjust the release to make it sound right, so it doesn't sound like it's being pinched. I'm also gonna do an over compression here, so you can hear what I mean by that. A lot of people say, oh, it's way too compressed. Well, it's not way too compressed. It's actually the wrong compression on the attack and release, and it's causing pumping. Pumping can be good in EDM music, but when it's like a real nice live guitar, the goal is, to some people, is to add as much gain reduction as possible without ruining the sound. And the reason we need to add that gain reduction is so we can carve out space for other things in the mix. That's where stuff like the dangerous compressor and really transparent things come in play. But a lot of guys are seeking that tone that some of this equipment gives off. So let's mess around with this guitar real quick. You can really hear the distortion. The first one sounds a lot better. That's over compression. It almost is fatiguing to your hearing. It's like all the body of that guitar just disappeared because we're hitting it too hard on the attack, really way too quick. So in the case of this, man, I would really EQ that guitar. There's a lot of mid-range. It's sort of bugging me. In this video, I'm not going to do that. But now we're going to move on to a bass line where the opto just kills it. Bass is smooth, man. It's not a short attack kind of instrument. So with something like a Distressor, you're going to go to opto mode. That's why the opto compressors of the day were so popular. That music, anything from, and I know that Pink Floyd didn't capture through the 610 per se, but a lot of records were captured in that genre. There's slower compositions. I mean, there was songwriting that was going on that was really, like the Frank Sinatras of that era. And when you have these low elongated bass lines, I mean, check out what it does to it. This is more of a poppy bass line, but you'll get the gist when I put it through there, man. I'm gonna make it sound stuck in the mix. So check it out. So that was my transparent, dude. That is 15 dBs of gain reduction. And if you're listening with some high quality headphones or monitors, you probably didn't hear too much of a difference. But you're giving yourself 15 dBs of headroom. That's to me incredible that this compressor does that. It's really good on doing that for bass. It's not it's not some, oh man, did you hear that tone like a Neve? It really acted like a LA2A. It was really cool. So you can see on the Distressor, and we'll move on to the piano just real quick though. At 10-1, it says opto. All the way right says opto. So at that setting, man, it sounds incredible. So let's move on. I don't want to take it off of opto, dude, because I love it. So opto compressor just really sounds good. Let's go on to a tambourine so you can hear the distortion, and then I'm going to get off the video. But here's the tambourine. You can really hear what the distortion does. It's a lift. It's a semi lift in the low mids. It's weird. Now let me take the whole entire Distressor off and push play on that. Sorry for you level matching guys. I'm doing this for mixing purposes. To me, setting that level is not the way I mix. I really don't. I hit a sound to make it sound good. And then we can adjust the output gain back like this. So that's level matched. So it's just a lot more presence at the same volume. Let's go on to a guitar, and then I'm gonna get off the video. On the guitar, I'm gonna abuse it, man. I'm gonna abuse it and show you how this box is not. If you don't know what you're doing, you can still screw it up. So I'm gonna show you real quick. And this is the number one failure I see when guys are like sending me stuff. They just got a new preamp. They push it into that preamp or compressor so much, well, out of the preamp into the EQ and compressor circuit in a channel strip, and you listen back and it sounds absolutely horrible. And I'm gonna show you what that sounds like. So that's the wrong compression, man. I mean, it just makes your ears want to turn the song off. And let me zoom out and talk about this because it's the truth. Let me put the Distressor back on my vocal on opto. Yo. It really made me want to check 1 2. Check a 1 2, check a 1 2. All right, we're back. All right, we just took a journey around that world. Let me zoom this out real quick. What I was showing you at the end of that video was a lot of people give me that kind of stuff, and it's like, obviously you do have to have the monitors to do this. These are 6328s from AKG, and they're really good at hearing stuff. I mean, they're really good. And long story short, what I was trying to get at when I said that is even right now I got a little bit too much compression going on my voice, and it could become a little annoying. When you compress something wrong, it becomes fatiguing to your ears. It's like your ears are trying to pick up on something natural, and you keep listening, and you just get actually you can cause yourself to be sick doing it. You're just like, there's something weird. Like there's like a wavy sound to a overcompressed sound. It's almost like putting earplugs in and then pushing air into those earplugs, and you just get this sense of, man, that song, there's something wrong with this song. And unfortunately a lot of that a lot of times guys will send me something to master like that, so we're trying to expand that or uncompress it, and it always sounds unnatural. And that's when I do say, please just let a professional do it. Like, and I'm not saying that you got to send it to me. I'm saying just like, if you have something killer, you have a great song, you got a fantastic performance, and you're waiting for a great mix. I mean, a great professional mix from a professional engineer it's not always cheap, but I've tried to make it affordable to people. I really have. And what makes me sad is like when a guy, and it's okay if you're an engineer and you're an aspiring engineer, screw up, man. Like, do this and do it and screw up and screw up and screw other people's stuff up and just keep going. And don't get defeated in your mind. But when you're trying to turn out a record and you want to be a performer for the rest of your life, it's very hard to do that, and take care of this part as well. And I say that in a few videos of mine. But, I sort of fell in love and have a passion for making stuff sound great. And I found out that my niche was here. I would say about 10 years ago, I caught the attention of Def Jam. And I'm not affiliate. Well, I don't know how you explain that, but I'm not working for Def Jam. But I caught the attention of these two gentlemen that worked there, and they liked my work ethic in the studio. So a lot of people tell me to let me get closer to the mic. But a lot of people tell me, "Hey Doug, man, you should be doing this for big artists. Like, you're really good at this." I do this for big artists. So I just don't put them all over the place on YouTube. I don't like, oh, I did a track for him and her and this guy, and I did a track for this, because it takes away from the people that haven't got their break. And that's the way I feel about it, because I still feel like I need my break. Every day when I wake up, I want to work on phenomenal music. And right now you're listening to me talk, and you probably want to turn it off because of the tone. So I'm doing something a little freaky with you. So hold on a second. Watch this. Okay, so now we're back. Hold on. We're not done yet. We are not done yet. Hold on. All right, we're back. Right there, that's the stuff that I was talking about. It sounds really bad. All right, so we're going to get rid of that. A little bit more. Isn't that... Oh, boy. All right. Because I don't have that low muffled rumble tone, now I sound a little skinny. But what I'm saying is, engineering is psychological, man. You're when you don't understand it, it does not mean anything to you. But when you're trying to make the impact of a sound, the mixing engineer is probably your best friend. And I can attest to this by just what you just heard. I mean, I was a little overcompressed. I was a little muffled. My voice was a little bit too heavy. And I'll end the video like this. I think the number one thing you can focus on is get a great mic, get a great preamp, and get a great converter. And once you get those three in line, then you can start adding and utilizing. But a lot of people say, oh, I got all this stuff, I don't need to send it to a mixing engineer. That's false. That's when you want to send it to a mixing engineer, because you got a great starting point. And I think that's the biggest deception that happens. You buy all this great equipment and you're like, well, I don't have to mix it. And that's false. Like, we need to mix the tracks. So the examples on this video were very simple procedures. I mean, I wasn't doing some full-blown mix, but if you think about what a mix is and why it costs more than a master, this tone is getting me upset too. I don't like this tone either. Like, I'm like a perfectionist, by the way. There's something in my voice. Hold on one second. Let me EQ that out. Check. It's right there, dude. It sounds horrible. Get rid of it. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I'm a perfectionist, and you can tell. Now it's distorting. So, yeah, mixing takes time, and what you're witnessing as I'm talking is the same thing we go through in mixing. We hear something, now I'm like, oh, the treble is a little too bright. Let's roll that off. And then you end up doing this and getting a nice high end, low end. Okay, that sounds a little bit that's an airy sound. So each vocal has a difference. And then we take all that off and I'm muffled again. So you do this and you continue to do this for each individual track. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And when you do that, that's when you become good at this. And you start going, man, now his voice sound, how did he get his voice to sound that way? Well, if you plug this voice in a mix, it's going to sound better. I might not have a lot of body in my voice right now, but we push the compressor a little bit, as this is said. And I hope it don't feedback. Please don't feedback. So now we push it a little bit. Now we got like a rock vocal. So that's what mixing is, and then you do that for each individual track throughout, and you build this thing back together, and you have this killer sound. Like, if you just mix a guy's vocals and leave everything else alone, his vocals will sound awesome and everything else will sound bad. Then you're matching his vocal to the bad, poor quality of the instrumental. So what I'm ending the video with is, when you go and you seek to get a mix, it's going to cost more than a master, because it takes a lot more time. I mean, but that's where the foundation of your professional songs come from. I was looking, Rihanna's last song cost like $30,000 to mix. Now, I know most of the fan base that I have, and I shouldn't even say fan base, but the people that watch me and support me. It's not like I'm fan basing and street teaming you. That's not what I do. But I'm saying, when we talk to one another and I answer gear questions and things like that, sometimes I do get a little discouraged when a guy asks me 500 questions about how to get this sound and he never even considers sending me music. And it's like, dude, I'm here to help you if you need it. So that is discouraging in my world, where I have all this time and effort I put in, almost going on 17, 18 years of it. And I can get you a great mix, but the number one failure that I see is guys will not bring the correct funds to the table. They want to do this for $30, $80, $120, and it's like, dude, if you really want to mix and we want to sit down and really get this song right, I've done mixes as low as $300, $400, and that's why my stem session became so important, and it became so popular, because it's like brunch. It's not breakfast, it's not lunch, so it's not mixing, it's not mastering, it's right in between. And when you have that, then you can start to make decisions and go, you know what, dude, I'm comfortable with it, Doug, but I don't have that kind of money. I don't have $700 for a mix. So I started doing the stem service for $250. And yeah, I'm talking about my business, because this is what keeps me going to do videos. It really does. I can't continue to do videos if my studio is not making money and so forth. And I love working on music. I really do. You can tell through my videos. And I'll end with this. Have faith in yourself. If you're not sure about how to use a compressor, just leave it alone and let a guy that is sure. And you're not going to pass the ball to what's his name, Moskov, when you got Kyrie Irving on the floor. And I think what we do as artists is we think we have to take all this stuff on ourselves. We have to do all this because we don't have the money to do it. And you'll really find out in your life that if you're not a faith-based guy, but I pray about it and I say, God, I want people around me to understand how beneficial I could be to them. And that's why I do videos like this, because if it's not me as your engineer, and you want to be an engineer or you just want to be an artist, let those positions be filled and build a team of people, man. And even the artist should be listening to this, because if you're just an artist, you want to hear the tone that it gives off, because ooh, that would sound good on my voice, or ooh, this mic would sound good, or that mic, and this Distressor will sound totally different with a different mic. That's why they built EQ, so we can adjust these things. So my name's Doug Jenkins, iMixandMaster.com. I didn't set up to like zoom out. As you can tell, I'm like turning my head into the Neumann. But I appreciate every last one of you watch my videos. I really do. God bless. Keep making great music, and then send that music to me.